Donald Trump's economic agenda is shaping up to be a disaster waiting to happen, and even outlets like CNBC are starting to acknowledge it. Trump's bold promises are already running into hard economic realities, and it's becoming increasingly clear that his proposals lack feasibility. Let's break this down step by step to understand why his plans are poised to backfire in spectacular fashion. Ending the war in Ukraine before taking office, Trump promised that he would end the Russia-Ukraine war quickly, claiming he could solve the conflict shortly after winning the election. However, his rhetoric has already shifted, and he now admits the situation is complicated. This reversal highlights Trump's lack of a concrete plan. Campaigning on the idea that one man can unilaterally end a complex international conflict without a clear strategy is unrealistic and dangerous. Global markets and international stability are not governed by slogans, and Trump's own statements reveal his lack of preparation for the challenges that come with addressing such geopolitical crises. Blanket tariffs and economic fallout. Trump's promise to impose tariffs on countries like China, Mexico, and Canada might sound tough, but history shows they don't work as intended. In his first term, retaliatory measures from countries like China cut off U.S. agricultural exports, leaving American farmers in dire straits. Policymakers are now scrambling to prevent Trump from implementing a similar tariff regime, recognizing the severe economic consequences it would cause. Tariffs may generate strongman optics, but they fail to deliver economic benefits. Instead, they drive up consumer prices, disrupt supply chains, and provoke costly retaliation from trading partners. Trump's tariff proposals are a short-term political strategy with long-term economic damage. The costs of retaliation far outweigh any potential revenue from tariffs, making them an unsustainable policy. Tax cuts and ballooning deficits. Trump is once again proposing massive individual and corporate tax cuts, promising that they will generate enough economic growth to pay for themselves. This approach mirrors his first-term policies, which led to ballooning deficits rather than balanced budgets. Independent estimates project that Trump's latest tax proposals would add approximately $9 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. With the national debt already at $36 trillion, even some Republicans are expressing skepticism about Trump's plan. His claims that tariffs and oil revenues will offset the debt lack credibility. The U.S. is already the world's largest oil producer, and energy prices are expected to remain low. Flooding the market with more oil is not a viable strategy for reducing debt. Similarly, tariffs have proven ineffective in generating the kind of revenue Trump envisions, especially when accounting for retaliatory measures. Energy prices and economic instability. Trump has promised to cut energy prices by 50%, but experts warn that such a dramatic drop would signal an economic crisis rather than prosperity. Rebecca Babin, a senior energy analyst, stated that having energy prices would lead to a deflationary spiral, potentially triggering a recession. Trump's simplistic promises ignore the complexities of global energy markets and the economic forces that determine prices. Basic economics contradict Trump's claims. Oil companies are unlikely to flood the market just because Trump demands it, and artificially low energy prices could destabilize the economy. Rather than providing relief, such policies would create further uncertainty and undermine growth. Ignoring the national debt. Trump's agenda also neglects the growing burden of servicing the national debt. With rising interest rates, the cost of maintaining the debt is becoming a significant strain on the federal budget. Trump's proposals for tax cuts, tariffs, and energy policies fail to address this issue, leaving the debt as the elephant in the room. Even members of Trump's own party are beginning to push back. The debt limit fight earlier this year exposed divisions within the Republican Party, as fiscal conservatives raise concerns about unchecked spending and mounting deficits. Trump's claims that he has all the answers are increasingly falling flat, even among his supporters. Patterns of failed policies. Trump's economic promises are not new. We've seen this playbook before, and the results have been consistently negative. His rhetoric on Ukraine is empty bluster, his tariff plans are proven failures, and his tax cuts would exacerbate deficits without stimulating meaningful growth. These policies place the burden on ordinary Americans, who end up paying more for goods, energy, and services. The costs of Trump's policies are not just economic. Reckless tariffs and energy policies risk damaging relationships with key allies and partners, leading to further instability. Military engagements driven by short-sighted strategies also impose sacrifices on American families. Trump's promise of prosperity is built on shaky foundations, and the fallout is likely to be severe. Trump's economic agenda is a collection of bold slogans and recycled ideas that fail under scrutiny. From tariffs to tax cuts to unrealistic energy goals, his proposals ignore basic economic principles and past failures. As Republicans in Congress grow wary and even conservative economists raise alarms, it's clear that Trump's plans are more likely to create chaos than prosperity. For those paying attention, the warning signs are already clear, and the fallout is inevitable.